Hey everybody, my name is Tandi, and if you are new to my channel, I'm a medical scientist who makes the findings of medical research accessible and usable to you. So in this video today, what I will be discussing, essentially I will be continuing with the contraceptive series that I started late last year. So if you haven't yet watched the previous videos that I released, please do so. They're right here. That will help you to familiarize yourself with all the other concepts that we've covered and essentially what to expect, but also it'll just keep you in the loop so that you're caught up and you are moving with the rest of us. So please go check out those videos and yeah, so that you know what's about to happen and what's coming up. So I need to reiterate that this contraceptive series that I released, it's intended to educate, right? I'm not trying to promote the use of contraceptives, but rather what I'm doing is I understand that there are times in your life where you are forced to use contraceptives for different reasons. Maybe use them to actually prevent pregnancy. Sometimes people use them to treat acne and other like menstrual related conditions. So if you are someone who maybe finds themselves being in a situation where you have to look into using a contraceptive and you have no idea where to start, you have very little information, and like there is a lot of information out there, but maybe it's a bit too confusing, I've created this contraceptive series essentially first introducing the different contraceptive options that are available, particularly in South Africa, and then I delve into each contraceptive and demystify everything around that particular contraceptive. So that is the whole point of this contraceptive series. So in today's video, what I will be discussing is the progestin only pill. This is also known as the mini pill, right? So in the previous video, I was discussing the combined oral contraceptive, and today is the progestin only oral contraceptive. So obviously between these two, a lot of you might already know, but the combined pill uses two hormones, whereas the progestin only pill will have only one hormone, progestin. So progesterone, right? So it will have the artificial versions of the hormone progesterone, and only that particular hormone, and it will have this hormone in different amounts, different formulations. So yeah, that is what we will be discussing. So typically the progestin only pill, unlike the combined pill, it's actually not that, what is the word? It's not widely used. And this perhaps has to do with the fact that a lot of studies in the past have shown that it might not be as effective, but or rather it's slightly less effective compared to the combined pill. So I think maybe it has to do with that. But yeah, it's not a widely used contraception, and I don't know why, because there are instances when it's actually like it can be the perfect alternative. So yeah, let's actually talk about this pill and find out all different things about it, what it does and who should take it, who should not take it, and what not. So for starters, because this pill contains one of the two female reproductive hormones, it's usually used by people that don't want to take estrogen or that want to maintain their natural levels of bodily estrogen, or they don't want the side effects that have to do with the hormone estrogen, right? So it can be ideal under those circumstances. And essentially the way that it works is that it's a little bit similar to how the combined pill work, right? So it thickens your cervical mucus. You know, the mucus in your cervix, it'll make it sticky so that it makes it hard for the sperm to penetrate and to get into the uterus. It will prevent or suppress the release of an egg, so it will prevent ovulation from happening. In that way, there's no egg that's actually being released. It will slow down the movement of the egg through the fallopian tubes, and sometimes in other cases apparently changes the endometrial lining, making it thinner, and this essentially makes it hard for the fertilized egg, if there is a fertilized egg, to actually attach onto the endometrial lining and then grow to produce a fetus and then a baby later on. So it essentially uses these different mechanisms to prevent pregnancy. That is how it works. When it comes to its efficacy, it seems to be slightly effective compared to the combined pill. But I actually was reading a study from 2023, not 2013, that is a long time ago. 2023, it's a meta-analysis, and it seems like they're suggesting that all those previous studies that were saying it's less effective, actually that might not really be the case. But that's still ... It's still, they still need to show exactly how effective it is, because they're saying, look, it seems like it's actually not the case. The other studies were not looking at all the factors correctly, whatnot, right? So currently it's believed to have an efficacy rate of between 91% to 95%, right? And this is obviously much less if you think about the combined pill, which had an efficacy rate of like 98%. So yeah, this one is, it seems that it might be slightly less effective, and that when you do take it, you try to take it at the same time every single day. So similarly to the combined pill, the progestin only pill, you have to take it every day, and you have to take it at the same time every day, right? So it is often suggested that you try not to deviate from that time as best as you can, because obviously if you deviate from the time that you're supposed to be taking it, it becomes less effective. And I know you don't want that to happen. If you really are not trying to get pregnant, it is something that you absolutely want to make sure that it works for you and it does what it needs to do. You don't want any mistakes, right? I know Mary Stopes is available, but still, you don't want to be forced to go through that route. So yeah, ideally they tell you, if you're gonna take it at 8 p.m. every night, take it at 8 p.m. every night. And usually in the pack, it's usually 28 of them. The progestin only pills, they don't usually have the placebo ones, right? So it's usually the hormone containing pills only that you have to take. And when you can see that you're almost close to the end of that packet, you have to make sure that you have another one waiting for you, so that there's no free day in between and whatnot, because we want to try and limit or reduce the chances of falling pregnant when we don't intend to fall pregnant, because children are expensive and the economy is not so great right now. So yeah. So what are some of the positive side effects? Like, I know sometimes when you look at contraceptives, typically when you go online, we discuss a lot of the negative side effects that have to do with contraceptives, forgetting that in some cases, they have positive side effects. And there are people that have used them successfully without issues, So yeah, they have a good side. So some of the positive side effects that are associated with the progestin only pill, guys, I keep looking down here because I have my computer down here, so that's why I keep looking down here, for just for some pointers, remind myself exactly what it is that I wanted to discuss today. So some of the positive side effects essentially is that, I think similar to the combined pill, you have some control over when you get to have your period, right? So that's a good thing. And if you want to go on vacation, or if maybe you don't want to have your period, maybe it's during exam time, and I mean, if you have terrible periods, sometimes you're like, I want to skip this month. The pill can help with that. Another good thing is that your period is slightly less painful, and it's also usually lighter. You don't bleed as much when you're on the progestin only pill, or even the combined pill. This was a similar positive side effect to the combined pill. You don't bleed as much, and it's usually also has been seen to be very effective at controlling or like lessening the side effects that come with premenstrual syndrome symptoms. So that is one other good thing. But then now to go back to the negative side effects that we usually hear about and talk about. So those include acne flare-ups, right? In other cases, because these are hormones and whatnot, sometimes they can have systemic effects where now your mood changes, and you get like some mood swings and whatnot. They can have that kind of effect. In other cases, apparently you can develop ovarian cysts. You can experience irregular bleeding. So yeah, that is not fun. You know, finding yourself having to bleed for, let's say, like way longer than what you're used to experiencing, that is obviously not fun. Or maybe now you skip your periods or whatever, that's also not fun. As much as we don't like periods, we also worry when we don't get them, you know, because you usually know that there might be something wrong. So those are some of the negative side effects and costs as well. I tried to look, but it doesn't seem like they offer the progestin only pill in government clinics. It seems like so far you can only get it through prescription. So that means, yeah, you either, maybe if you're not on medical aid, which we know the majority of South Africans aren't, then this could be a cost for you. So maybe that's also another reason why this pill is not as widely used, you know, as other contraceptive methods, because actually you have to see a GP and that involves money, right? So that is another side effect. This is not an exhaustive list of the negative side effects that are linked with this pill, and even the positive ones, it's not an exhaustive list. I'm just mentioning the ones that are very common and, yeah, you know, that are more likely to happen. So this pill, because it uses one type of hormone, you find that the people that generally do use it are people, as I mentioned, that don't want the side effects that are linked to estrogen. So essentially, the progestin only hormone, it tends to have a significant impact on your menstrual cycle compared to like systemic effects. And the like estrogen, I think, tends to be more systemic. The side effects tend to be more systemic, like affecting like all of your body essentially. So I think that's why it tends to be an attractive or an attractive alternative option for some people. So generally, people that are advised to use this contraceptive method is those that have high blood pressure. If you struggle with high blood pressure, if you have a history of blood clots, like in your family, maybe there's someone who has blood clots, or if you yourself have a history of having blood clots, it's usually recommended that you use POP, this progestin only pill, right? Because estrogen in the combined pill can increase your chance of getting blood clots. If you're overweight as well, it's usually recommended that you use the progestin only pill. If you are breastfeeding, this pill also tends to be more recommended to women that are breastfeeding, because in some cases they've seen that estrogen can reduce your milk supply, right? Your breast milk supply. So yeah, therefore, usually your healthcare professional will recommend that you use the progestin only pill. So like with most medications and most other contraceptives, really, usually before you can get on a contraceptive, it's very important that you look into your medical history, or like you tell your medical professional, your doctor, that this is my medical history. They actually usually ask. I think the law forces them to ask, because you find that a person can't take it for whatever reason. So generally, there's certain people that it's highly not recommended for them. So for instance, if you have a history of breast cancer or uterine cancer in your family, this is hormonal birth control seems to be contraindicated. It's usually not recommended in that case. If you are someone who maybe has a history of migraines and headaches as well, it's usually not recommended. Obviously, if you have suspected pregnancy, if you think you might be pregnant, or, you know, like it's not recommended that you use birth control. If you have abnormal uterine bleeding, so this is, for instance, if you bleed between your monthly periods, you have prolonged bleeding, or maybe you have you bleed heavily when you're on your period, this the pill is usually contraindicated in that case. Also, if you have issues with your liver, these are some of the cases where you're not usually allowed, or the pill's not recommended. The progestin only pill is not recommended. And because also it can interact with some medications. If you are, for instance, taking certain anti-seizure medicine, you also usually told to not use this type of contraceptive because it can interact with your medication, or the medication interacts with it, and then it reduces its efficacy. So that those are some of the things that you have to discuss with your healthcare professional. You have to bring up front so that they know and they find the correct method for you that goes with your medical history, that goes with your lifestyle. Those things are very important to put out there so that they know exactly what's going on and they can make the correct recommendation. So there's certain times where the pill might not work very well. And this is usually if you miss it, of course. This is an obvious one. Obviously, if you miss the pill, you take it at different times every day, that reduces its efficacy. If you vomit, especially shortly after you've taken the pill, chances are that also you reduce the efficacy. You probably vomited it before it was digested or absorbed into the body. If you have severe diarrhea as well, that can affect the pill and it can reduce its efficacy. And as mentioned again, certain medications will affect how the pill works. So again, you have to check with your doctor, your pharmacist, your nurse, whoever you are consulting with before you take this medication. As I mentioned initially, early on in my video, so far it seems like you can only get this through prescription. I'm really not sure if you can get this from government clinics. So if anyone knows if you actually can get it from government clinics, please comment below. That would be very, very helpful. So far, it doesn't seem like it. There's not much about the progestin only pill. So yeah, it doesn't seem like it. But if anybody knows, please do let me know. But the one thing I know is that it's not available over the counter, because it's hormonal. It has certain side effects and whatnot. So it's not something that you can easily get over the counter, because your doctor needs to understand exactly what's your health like, what do you take, what do you not take, what's your health history and all those things, so that they can ensure that they can help you choose a contraceptive that aligns with your medical history and your personal preferences. So yep. An important one, which I think is obvious: the pill will not protect you from sexually transmitted infections. So if you are at a high risk of acquiring STIs while you are using this contraceptive method, it is very important that you use a barrier method like a condom, so that you can protect yourself from sexually transmitted infections. So guys, please note, it's important to note that birth control pills and methods, they come in various formulations, they come in various brands. So yeah, and that sometimes changes. So it's very, very important to find the one that works for you, and ideally work with a professional in doing so that you can actually find what works. And usually when you are on birth control as well, it's often recommended that you get regular checkups. I know when I was on birth control, I had to have my blood pressure checked regularly. You get your pap smears and all those things. Like, get checkups regularly. I mean, generally, I think you need to get regular checkups, so that, like, prevention is better than cure. Just deal with things, like nip them in the bud as they come along. So like now when you are on birth control, it's very important that you get regular checkups, because this also helps to determine how the birth control is interacting with your body, if it's actually the right one for you, if it aligns with your own system and it works well with you, right? And it's actually effective, it's doing what it needs to do without causing so much discomfort. Like, there's no need to live in discomfort just because you're on birth control. It doesn't have to be an uncomfortable experience. There are many options out there. So don't just sit and stick to one type of birth control because you're like, but I've been using it. I'm just so used to like all these cramps that I get, or I'm just so used to constantly having acne. No, like that's not normal, and don't let things get to that extent. So actually go consult and try to find an option that works really well for you. So I'm gonna release another video like on all the other birth control options that I outlined in my initial video, my introductory video into this series. So I'm gonna discuss all those different options. So stay tuned for all of those options, because I will provide you information on all of them. And yeah, if you have anything that you know more about the progestin only pill, please comment below, and hopefully someone will pick up on that and they can learn something from it. So thank you so much, guys, for getting to the end of my video. An important disclaimer: the information that I provide on my channel is for educational purposes only, and it is not intended to substitute medical advice. So if you have certain issues, urgent, specific medical concerns, please consult a registered medical professional to do so. Thank you for getting to the end of my video. Please share it with other people that will find this beneficial. And if you find the videos that I share on my channel beneficial, helpful, please subscribe, like, and comment so that they have more reach, because there's most likely someone else who could benefit from them. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.